Oh, what is going on, gentlemen? Howdy to all my tankers out there hanging in the chat. We're going to wait till the 1 minute past as usual for all the YouTube slow notification rolls to happen. Just a quick shout out. The first person in the chat was Red. Ha ha ha. Nice. I think he cheated. After that, Sam and Andy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just rocking out to the tunes. We got a special round table for everyone. This is Friday night. Well, not Friday night. That was Friday, the happy hour. Jeez, I can't think how much I drank that night. I finished a whiskey bottle. It was awesome. Go check out the Kyle's trivia and the happy hour afterwards. And there was Kyle also ran over and did a rundown of Dayton. That was awesome. It is that time, but before we start, we'll do the traditional turning down Frank's mic because we all know it's about to happen. Are we ready for it? Are we ready for it? What is going on, yo? I'm Frank KG5HJ, and it is Sunday night. It's a special 5th Sunday, so that means we have Red, and we got everyone in the back. It's taking off their headphones. It's hilarious. We have a special co-host stream, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Let's go ahead and roll the intro video. Play that intro video. I gotta click the button. Quick shout out to all my Patreons who makes the show possible. You can support me by joining Patreon in the link below. And on to Tank Radio. Hey, what is going on? I'm just tweaking my mic level. Oh man, it jumped to 100. I'm sorry about that. Audio, there it is. What is going on? It is the 5th Sunday. We have an awesome 1 hour block lined up for you. Before we get into it, I have something special to announce, which I just remembered, and now I'm going over and prepping all my screens. So while I do that, let me do the normal rundown. Thank you to all my Patreon supporters out there. I appreciate what you do for the channel. Without y'all, none of this will be possible. And thank you. Hopefully I got the right credits this time. I made sure to update all my credit rolls. I'm sorry. Some of y'all kept getting pushed back to wrong levels. levels, but I think it's correct this time. Hopefully it's correct this time. If not, let me know and we'll figure something out. Buy Me a Beer is active. You find the link in the chat, and also those super chats are active. So if you want to just throw some tips in there, it'll be greatly appreciated. Coins are still for sale. Here is one right here. These coins are on Grapevine Amateur Radio's website, Ham Radio 2.0 shop, Ham Radio 2.0. And you can go ahead and order those coins. There's one coin order right now. It's outstanding. I'm sorry, I'm out of stickers. I'm reordering the stickers, and I sent you an email. And hopefully the delay is well worth it. But should get stickers sometime this week, so the coins will be going out again. I just want to make the pack special, awesome for you, because I appreciate it. All you do for me. And finally, audio podcasts. I have my audio podcasts are releasing every Tuesday morning at 2 a.m. But you don't have to get it right as it's dropped, but it'll be there ready for you for the it's Tuesday morning traffic. So you go ahead and pop me on, and there are 2 audio releases that aren't you see on YouTube. Well, minus the one we just did last week. But hey, man, it was a special one. We're welcoming Scott back to the group. So I wanted to put that out and share it with everybody. And the special announcement is, why is that window so small? We'll make it larger. There. And where did it go? I clicked it, and there it is. Boom! Pre-orders are now up for the Tank Radio Whiskey Tumbler. Yay! You get a set of 2 for $40. It is a pre-order right now. That means you buy it and I'll ship it to you later, because I don't want to spend like $1,000 on merchandise sitting around. But pre-order, so that means I'm gonna wait a month, and after the month we're gonna put that order in, and then once it gets to me, I'm gonna repack it and ship it directly to y'all. So I can't wait. Those whiskey tumblers look amazing, and we need at least 13. So hopefully we'll get 13. But after that, everything's gravy. I can't wait till those orders go out, and it's gonna be a month. And now, without any further ado, I need to find the right transition. We are going to welcome on Charlie, Scott, Dan, and Brian. Yeah, look at that. I am amazing. What is up? And y'all are unmuted. Yes, I am improving.
Yeah.
I'm a professional somehow, I guess.
Okay.
Technology.
Quite the professional.
Oh man, 6 minutes. That was a good run. I don't know how Jason does it. Talks for 10 minutes before bringing guests on. Like,
Wow.
I have my 5 bullet points, and after that, I'm like, okay, I'm done. Done. Boonie hats are hard to find the right ones. I have ideas. I'm working on that. Will be probably the next one later. So I'm going to get them when they look right, and I'm going to be proud of them. Boonie hats are coming down the pipe. Did I miss anything else in the chat as we were doing everything? Need merch in the intro. You know what? That's a good idea, Don. So what we got going on, Charlie?
Hey, how's it going? Well, I don't know. I mean, we're just here to talk. We're honored to be on Tank Radio tonight, and those of you who don't get over our channel much, you know, there's me and Dan and Brian. The 3 of us interview guys all the time, and mostly about portable ops, also some CW stuff. So if you haven't checked out our channel, I guess head on over there at some point. We do we switch with you, huh, Frank? We do first and third. Is that right? Yeah, we do first and third Sundays. You do second and fourth, and that's why we're here on the 5th Sunday, because we didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, 5th Sunday special. we get both parents together, and we share y'all. And this has happened my time to host. So yay!
Yeah.
We kicked around the idea, and we thought of a good thing to do. It's just like a round table. So me and Charlie came up with a list of questions, and we're just going to ask them and go around, and hopefully it has good discussion, and we'll just see what our answers are. Are we ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Because we're going to be.
Living dangerously.
Oh, I meant to workshop this one. Oh well, we'll just do it live. The question number 1 I have is, when you're building your POTA or Red and Brian and Dan, your SOTA packs, because there's no mountains here in Texas. What is your idea pack or your what is your ideology while you're building that pack and putting it together? So I am going to start with the order on screens here, and let's start with the bottom. Red, you're up.
Okay, I was just gonna answer Mike into MAK because
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna be the interviewee next week, and he was in there in the chat, and I was just
Ooh,
gonna say that. But anyway,
yes, yes.
hi Mike into MAK. Glad you're here. He's a great POTA guy. So what my mantra is, what do I do to what's my goal? It really depends. Obviously, because sometimes I go up north and I do, kind of the wooded area stuff. Sometimes I stay south and I do the desert stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I do long excursions with backpacking trips. Sometimes I do, something that where the turnaround's like 3-4 hours and I'm back home. So I think that let me just maybe say the short ones. Like if I'm doing something in town, like for mini morning madness, we call it, where we get up at like 4:30 in the morning. We get out, we do a summit, we get back, and we're at work by 7-8 o'clock in the morning. So what would I carry on that pack? Probably just an HT. I would grab an HT and have a good antenna. Maybe a rubber duck would work if I'm in a real hurry. We get up on the summit for 5 to 15 minutes and we're done. Sometimes I'll take a Slim Jim, but in reality, the pack is very small and lightweight. I have a lot of water and one antenna. That's about it. One
Sounds
antenna, one radio.
sounds good. Sounds good. Brian.
So yeah, I guess for me it's same thing. It's mission specific. So if I'm doing my normal loadout that I take to work with me, because I'm fortunate enough that I actually spend a lot of time traveling around the state, and I get to spend several hours every day in an area that's SOTA rich. So as long as the winter season has not killed my access, I usually go out and do at least 1 or 2 summits, and that pack's pretty set up. My main thing with packs is I'm lazy. I don't like carrying a lot of weight. So like 23 pounds is the heaviest pack that I try to carry. And that would be a summer pack with a gallon of water in it and my basic stuff. If I'm close to town and I'm in an area where I'm going with somebody, my survival gear is not as extreme as it is if I'm going by myself out in the White Mountains. And then I carry a lot more because I want to make sure that, if something happens, I'm going to be able to take care of myself till somebody can get to me and help me get out. Because if I can't self-rescue and I'm stuck someplace, then I want to make sure that I'm ready to go out. Because as Dan and Charlie will both agree, there's a lot of places in Arizona that we go that are really remote. I mean, Charlie and I have had some adventures.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
been several summits that's okay. That was cool. We're never doing that one again.
Exactly.
No, and taking a lot of time to navigate your way through because you're like, well, let's see if let's be careful because if we fall, we're going to be hurt and we're going to be hurt there for a while before somebody comes to find us. So yeah, that's really for me. That's my pack is I try to build it out based on what I'm going to do. But normally for in town, if the morning madness, it's going to be an HT or two. If I'm going out to the middle of nowhere, it's going to be usually my UKITS HB1B, my normal survival gear, a link dipole, something to hold it up with in the middle, and an HT that does APRS. That's it.
I like these. These are like slimmed down answers to my answer. So thank you, thank you. Dan, my man, what do you do when you're building out a pack?
As Brian and Charlie know, my goal is to leave nothing behind at the house. I generally take everything with me, so I end up with taking way too much stuff with me. But my main goal is just to primarily make sure that I've got water, I've got a snack, and I've got my radio, my antenna, and a battery. And hopefully, I didn't leave any of those particular items at home. And if I make it to the top of the summit, I am very grateful for that.
Awesome. I like I think each one of y'all said snacks, and I don't have
That's
that in
right,
my
man.
pack.
What?
Scott, man, what do you do when you're building out a pack? What is your mantra or ideal pack?
Well, man, I don't do a whole lot of SOTA stuff. There's only one SOTA spot in Texas. It's only about 150 feet up.
Yeah,
I don't know how
we
how it
can't get that
qualifies.
400 feet of Providence anywhere around here.
Yeah, but I'm kind of like Dan. I pretty much bring everything but the kitchen sink. I travel with my 7300. I'll bring the 705 out. 200 or 300 feet of coax, about 9 antennas. So it just depends. And I'll set up whatever once I get to my spot or my location, I will set up whatever I feel like setting up at that point in time, depending on what my goal is for doing the parks on the air stuff. Generally, it's my DX Commander Expedition, but sometimes I just don't feel like fiddling with it. So then I move on and just go ahead and set up one of my end feds.
I like it. Yep, being a Texas boy, no soda, so I'm not slim. I do the mantra of two is one and one is none. Lately, the last 2 or 3 months, I've been my bag has two radios in it, a Yaesu FTX D10 and my G90. Then I have all the supporting cables for it. I have multiple data cables for everything. I have multiple antennas. Um, Around here, I only hike about a mile or two sometimes to before I get to the spot to activate. A lot of times I just throw the pack on, walk 100 or 200 feet to wherever the table is, and I'll set up there. If I had to slim down, which I kind of want to do, I still keep the idea of two as one. I will have multiple antennas. Probably only have a single battery because it's heavy, and adapters. I always carry my bag adapters because you never know which one you're going to need, and you're never going to have the one that you need at that time.
You have a nice set of adapters, man.
Yes. Like so when I find the last adapter in the bag, I immediately go to HRO and buy 2 or 3 more of that adapter. So if I take it out and I put it somewhere else, I'm like, okay, this adapter is assigned to the rig stick. Then I put that in the rig stick bag, and then I look in my bag. If I have only 1 or 0 of those adapters left, HRO trip immediately.
Yeah. My adapters all fit in an Altoids can.
Yeah, nice. I like that. I like that. Red, what do you got?
Well, let me just
Yeah.
add on to what you're saying. So
Yeah.
I just gave you one extreme. Let me give you the other extreme, and that's my parks on the air. Since you guys answered parks on the air, for me, parks on the air, I have a antenna bag. It's a duffel bag, and it has 7 antennas in it, and it's probably 40 pounds. It includes all my adapters and all my coax, so it's big and stuff. So I'll throw that in. I'll throw in a 100 amp hour battery, and I'll throw in my big the big station antenna or radio. So those are the main 3 things: antenna, mast, and so I take a lot more, and I go big when I do POTA as well. I like to operate 100 watts because I hardly ever get the chance. Almost all the time I'm operating, it's the QRP stuff. So when I do POTA or even do a drive up, I try to get out there and do 100 watts. And so I throw all the heavy stuff in and do like what you guys do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's see. We wanted to go with question number 2, right?
Yeah, let's just run down the list.
All right. Question number 2 is, what is the one thing in your kit or pack you can't live without? And I'll just start, and then we'll go maybe the same order since it's making sense, right?
Yep.
So I would say my Garmin GPS 66i would be the one thing that I would want to always have with me. And Brian will probably speak to this a little bit more once he pops back in. But it's route finding, and it's also satellite communication, and it's also a backup spot in case I can't get out and get a spot in some of these remote areas. So for that reason, that's my most important item in my pack is the GPS 66i: emergency communication, route finding, and backup spotting. So, and then Dan.
Well, Charlie, you kind of stole my thunder. That the 66i is the most important thing that I carry as well. So, I can spot with it. Plus, it's my lifeline in the case of an emergency, right? And it also makes it so that I can notify, people that are on there that I've arrived or I've left or, or I'm in trouble, stuff like that. Fortunately, I have not had to use it, but that's probably the most important thing that I've got so far. And it's so much so that, it's worthwhile enough that I'm in the process of even purchasing a satellite phone just for the same reason.
Yeah.
So it's well worth having a couple ways to communicate with people in the event of an emergency. And if you're hiking with somebody else, they may not really know how to operate my Garmin, but they'll know how to operate a phone. So that's one of the reasons why I'm making that particular purchase.
Yeah, it's good. And and the way the question is phrased, what is the one thing that you can't do without? I would also add snacks. Anyway, back to you. Over to you now, Brian.
Yeah, I was gonna say just so people know, for some reason, Zoom is unstable on my computer, so sometimes it just shuts off for no reason. So that's what just happened there. If you're wondering where I went,
Oh, it's good. We'll
I
let
mean,
you back in
it's
each
also
time.
possible that they were listening and didn't like
Mm.
something, so you never know. But as far as it goes for me, and Charlie's done this when Charlie and I do, or the first couple of times, I don't do it quite to the detail I did when him and I first started hiking together. We would do some pretty technical, involved, remote, way off the beaten path summits. I mean, really, and I'm big on making sure that the person that I'm with knows what I have and knows how to use it. So we, before the, at the car, before we started rolling, I pulled out all of my safety gear. This is the PLB. This is how you use it. This is this is that. And then also, if something goes wrong, this is the plan. This is what I'm going to expect you to do if something goes wrong and I can't do any of this stuff. And by the way, if something goes wrong with you, this is what you can expect me to do. And that's just the way it's going to be. And I won't get into the whole thing because it takes a few minutes to go through. But if I'm hiking with a partner, I always make sure that we have, and it goes back to my public safety background and flying and everything else, to talk about what could happen and how we're going to deal with it if it does happen. So that way we're not trying to figure it out on the fly. We've got a basic plan put together, and that's based on the equipment and what we have between the two of us to hopefully bring whatever happened to a successful outcome. Because if you don't have a plan, then you don't know what's going on. And in the words of a good friend of mine, hope is not a plan. So making sure you have a plan is a good plan.
I like that answer.
Yeah. Cool. Now over to non-techies.
Yep.
All right. Well,
hope is not a plan. Just remember that.
I guess my most important piece of gear, I mean, I got two of them really. I mean, aside from the obvious, one's gonna be adapters. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been out in the middle of nowhere and realized I left the one adapter I needed at home in the shack. And it's not in my bag where it belongs. So I tend to stock up on those. But the other thing would be my tablet. Just having a tablet so I can actually record and well, not record, but take down all my contacts and stuff for doing Parks in the Air stuff.
Yeah, it's good. Good answer.
Nice.
I think adapters are really important as well, and now I'm kind of to the point now where I'm going to buy a set of adapters for each type of operating that I do. Like I've got a set that I do for SOTA, and I'm going to duplicate that and put it into like a POTA bag, because I can't be trusted to reliably move those adapters from the SOTA to the POTA and back and forth. So you arrive and you have nothing. So
what's the old saying? You never have too many adapters, right?
Yeah, but Don
right.
Don says it, if you buy an adapter, always get two.
Yeah.
In the chat.
Smart.
Well, it's like a radio, right? You can never have enough.
Mm-hmm. Scott, you stole my answer. I was going to say my bag of adapters, which I always try to put on camera because it's important. I am going to now pivot to the bag itself. If you don't have a bag, then you just got a bunch of loose junk you got to carry by hand.
Point taken. Yes.
And the more little compartments your bag has, the more organized you can be.
Yes.
Yeah, I have probably 4 bags that I stuff in there, and then in my big bag. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my pivot answer. I was about to rant and rave on having adapters, but I think Scott covered it. The next question is, how would you incorporate ham radio into your outdoor hobby, hiking, camping, or boating? Ooh, this is boating. That was an interesting take on there. Red,
How would I incorporate?
amateur radio or ham radio into your outdoor hobbies, hiking, camping, biking, boating.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do, and so there's the whole purposeful activities that you do for POTA and SOTA. So you're right. So there's these things where you know what, today is my SOTA or POTA day. I'm going to go out and do that. And so that's one aspect of it that where it's kind of a built-in thing. But sometimes you go out and you'll do a camping trip. You'll go to visit family out of state. You'll go. There's many different areas of your life that aren't actually specific to you doing SOTA or POTA, and I look for opportunities to implement them all. Just for example, one example is my wife and I, we go up north every year to Utah to visit our kids, our grandkids up there, and then we go on forward to Wyoming to visit my family, and then we come on back down. So we always look for an opportunity to go on at least one hike, either in Utah or in Wyoming, and activate a summit. And it doesn't always work out, but this is something we enjoy, and we go hike together, and it's a fun thing. So we don't take a lot of gear, but it's narrow, it's watered down, but we look for that opportunity, and you can do that in anything you're doing, wherever you're going. I actually, another just real quick example, I was going to go and do a activation in Nassau in the Bahamas, but we had a trip out that way. I actually couldn't. I got my license to do that the day after I left. And so I'd left all my gear at home, but I had planned on that as well. It was a cruise, but we were planning on stopping at a certain island, and we'd be there all day. And so I'm like, hey, islands on the air, man. So I think looking for opportunities is a way to implement it. Is to look for all the things you do in your life, and see if you can make it fit.
I like it, Brian.
Yeah, so I would say when I was still traveling for work and actually spending a week at a time out on the road with a suitcase and going from hotel to hotel and traveling around the country, sometimes I'd find myself in random places where I had a couple hours on the ground and there was a SOTA summit nearby. So I started carrying, and it's actually the same radio that I carry now all the time. It's in one of those small Chinese first aid kits, if you're familiar with what I'm talking about. The radio fits in there with the battery and the antenna, and then I would have the fishing pole, and that would be in my suitcase, along with one of those, backpacks that folds up into a little bag that you can expand out and take what you need with you. And I would bring that with me to go do activations when I'm out on the road. And I've actually activated a summit in Texas. I went up over by Possum Kingdom Lake. There's a summit next to the lake over there. I drove out there from Dallas when I happened to be stuck in Dallas for 2 days with a broken airplane, and somebody was nice enough to let me use a car to drive out there. So I got my Texas activation. I got a W5T that way. I've activated in Virginia. I've activated in New Jersey. In fact, I activated a summit in my home state of New Jersey. That was actually not a SOTA summit. That when I was a little kid, I used to hike up on top of, and we built forts in the woods back there. And now it's a SOTA summit. So that was kind of cool to do.
That's awesome.
So when I talk about the bags, it all depends upon what I'm looking to do. My big bag at home, I have 2 bags. One is like the expedition bag that has a lot of junk in it, and that's the heavy bag. That's also usually the bag that I stuff everything in when I'm doing a VHF contest, because I break the 25-pound rule for the VHF contest, and that pack usually weighs about 50 pounds because I have transverters and batteries and all kinds of stuff, because I go up there with the intention of operating for hours and trying to win North America for portable. Which I've done a couple of times actually. So, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, and then my POTA stuff, I have a Pelican case that I keep my 817 in with an antenna, and then I have a separate box of the battery, and that's what I need to do POTA. And I bet I dragged it out yesterday. Our club had a picnic in a POTA, and I operated for a little while during the picnic in there. So it all depends upon what I'm doing, but I try to keep everything so I could just pull out of the bag in bags, and there's not a mess of stuff in the bottom of the bag. It's individual bags inside the bag, and each bag has a purpose. One's the survival bag, one's the food bag, one's the radio bag, one's the batteries, shelter or whatever, but it's all in there so I can pull each bag out, and they're different colors. So I know just by looking at it which bag is what, and I can find everything easy. And then in a compartment, the stuff that I'm going to use, extra batteries for the radio, things like that, are in a compartment all by themselves for quick access, because that's stuff that I'm going to get into all the time.
Cool. Dan.
Well, let's see. That's part of the reason why I bought my KX3 is because, whenever I travel, I do like to try and take it, and if you could fit in a little radio operating in the midst of wherever you're at, if you're out on vacation somewhere else or you're visiting family or whatever, that's always a good thing. So that's always nice. So the lighter, the better. Obviously, I don't fit that mantra real well with my backpack.
Mm-hmm.
But I was really, matter of fact, we were up in Flagstaff. We were up at the Grand Canyon and doing some astronomy stuff over in Flagstaff this weekend, and as we're driving to the canyon with my wife, we were driving along, and I'm pointing out SOTA summits, that we've done and things, and she brought up, well, what we really need to do is, make sure that we have a small go bag. So, when we're out in places like this, we can just pull off and we can go do a soda if we want to. And I'm like, oh, yes, wonderful.
You got a
I'm all for
winner
that.
right there.
Yeah. So she's pretty adventurous. So having a spouse that understands your need for those kind of things also helps out a lot. So that's a good recommendation for me anyways.
Thank you. Scott.
I don't really have a really exciting answer for this. A few months ago, I went hunting with some friends. One of our buddies out there has like a 4,000 acre ranch. And we just had a couple, HTs just to keep in touch with each other to make sure there wasn't any crossfire. Because as you may or may not know, friendly fire isn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, we just use the radios basically just to keep in touch with each other, make sure we're not launching,
Yeah. Yep.
armaments across our paths. So.
Nice. I take a HT with me. It's due to it was my other hobbies. Definitely hiking. I have the HE, and when I'm at national parks, hiking alone, which I fairly do a lot. I look up on radio reference what the park ranger bands are, and a lot of times they're close enough to the ham bands and on analog that you can listen into them. So I have the Cannell keyed, and I switched to the different frequency so I can talk on that, and it's on the if that's on the A, I'm on the B frequency, and I kind of listen to their traffic. It's kind of interesting sometimes, but I know in a true emergency, and that's my only thing. I have no cell signal. I could just switch to back to A, and I can key up there and ask for help. Other than that, I just take it out with me with the HT, and I'll just key up the repeater every now and then and see who's around, or have 5.2 on and just listen to 5.2.
Yeah. Cool.
I actually keep a Bowfang in the bottom of my backpack that's programmed with all the local public safety stuff as the last resort.
Nice.
For the God forbid, if I don't do this, I'm gonna die kind of situation. So I have all of the analog DPS and everything that I could possibly have programmed in there, and I'll just keep yelling until somebody answers me.
Yeah. Hey, our regulations do allow that.
All right. Well, so let's go back the other way around now. Let's start with Frank, and then go to Scott, then Dan, then Brian, and then me. So on this next question, question is, how do you stay up to date with the latest ham radio technology and trends?
Ooh, I watch Take Radio, and this guy over here, Charlie, and this guy up there, Ham Radio for Non-Techies. We are all great and exploring new things. Shameless plugs everywhere.
There you go.
I just research kind of what I'm interested in, and I keep an ear on the ground to listening in the car to some of the audio podcasts out there, and I just scroll through the news. For some reason, my Google News has figured out I'm an amateur radio operator, and it's tossing me all these news articles that just pop up, and I'll read the headlines and the ones I'm interested read the articles, but it's just what flavor of subject I'm interested in the day, then I'll just go through and start researching it. So that's my answer. Scott,
Cool.
my man.
Well, for me, it's going to be, keeping, well, obviously social media, YouTube is a major source for me, not only as a creator, but I watch a lot of other YouTube channels out there. All you guys have YouTube channels out there and stuff. So that gives me an idea of what's coming up or what's in the works. Also, QST magazine always has lots of ads, usually more ads than articles, but but that's a good way to find out what's going on. Or I might see something new and go, okay, that looks kind of cool. Let's research that. I'll just go balls to the wall trying to research a specific item and see if it's something that needs to be in my arsenal or not.
Yeah, cool. Dan?
Yeah, I'd have to say social media is probably number one for me as well, whether it's YouTube or listening to podcasts. Twitter's a great place for it as well. there's a lot of people out there that do interesting things and apply technology to what they're doing differently, and they find particular products that interest you. So that's probably my number one way to find out about new things. Sometimes if you get on top of some of the manufacturers' websites, you find little tidbits there. But mostly YouTube, social media type stuff is usually works best for me.
Yeah, that was good. Good topic. I mean, it's a good resource. Yep, Brian.
Yeah, for me, it's probably podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts because sometimes I'm single pilot for a lot of the flying I do. So once I'm out of the terminal area, I'll throw a podcast on and listen to that in my headphones and get a lot of information out of those. It's probably first. I read usually QST cover to cover. I read the On the Air magazine, which is actually a real, even though it's geared toward new hams, it's a really good source for information. So I read the On the Air magazine. I'll cherry pick articles out of the QEX, which is the technical magazine from the ARRL, and the same thing with with AJ. There's a lot of really good bits of information in all four of those publications. And if you're an ARRL member, you've got electronic access to all four of those publications through the ARRL magazine app. And full disclosure, I'm an assistant section manager, so a little bit of a shameless plug there for the ARRL. But so I get a lot out of that. I do listen to the two ARRL podcasts. The Eclectic Tech podcast was really good. They had a lot of really interesting stuff on there, but that's been discontinued. The guy just didn't want to do it anymore. But I always found some good tidbits in there, and I'm kind of I wouldn't say like I get a little bit squirrel sometimes. You'll hear something, oh, that sounds really cool. Let me check that out. And I'll go down that rabbit hole for a couple of days. And sometimes it sticks and sometimes it doesn't. But I like tinkering. So that's kind of, I generally expand my horizons in amateur radio by going down rabbit holes and either deciding that was good or I don't really need that.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it sounds like you guys hit a lot of. There's only a couple others that I might include, but social media is huge for me, and podcast is huge for me. In fact, I just want to plug Ham Radio Workbench, Vince, George, and the gang. You guys have a great podcast. Make sure you
great podcast.
Yep, want to make sure I mention you guys, and
Yes.
there are a few others that are really good podcasts that I listen to as well. One of the not so well known podcasts that I really like is called Solder Smoke.
Yes,
Bill Maher
I was just going to
has.
say solder smoke. I was going to jump in there and throw that in,
Yeah,
Charlie. That's
yeah,
my favorite too.
It's great. It's
They
great.
crack
So
me up.
they're good. So let me just give my answer. I actually just put out a YouTube short on the publications that I read most often, and Brian covered the ARRL publications. So there's two others that I mentioned in this short. One is I am definitely a QRP guy, so the QRP Quarterly that comes out is a great publication. It has there's people in there who have give tips. There's kind of kit builds and homebrew stuff in there. There's also usually reports on portable ops. And then the other one is the CW Ops. Why can't I think of it right now? The
Solid copy.
Solid Copy. I really enjoy reading Solid Copy. No, I like reading the new people who have just joined CW Ops and their backgrounds and stuff like that. That's one section, but also they have a lot of good tips in there on CW operation and Morse code paddles and that type of stuff. Just a good publication. So that's what I do. So all right. Anything to add, guys, before we pass it back to Frank?
Actually, I would throw one more thing in there too. Ham Radio Club meetings.
Oh,
Sometimes
yes.
you learn a lot just by talking to people at the meetings, and that's something that I would definitely say as far as if you're not a member of a club, find one. They're really good sources of information. I mean, heck, I'm holding my hands up at the screen, but you guys can't see what I wouldn't know these two guys if it wasn't for the Superstition Amateur Radio Club that the two of us are members off of.
Well,
Definitely.
I'm going to take that and I'm going to pull a question out. It was not supposed to be the next one, but it's a great pivot here. What is the advice you'll give someone entering this hobby? We'll start with Scott.
All right. For me, it's pretty simple. Do whatever it takes to pass your exams and get your ticket. Don't dwell or overthink about all the material. Get the material in your head, go pass the damn test, get your ticket, and then spend the rest of your time learning every day. Learn as much as you can. Anything that interests you, go full force into it. get involved with it and learn as much. Ask questions, find people, watch YouTube videos, research on, use one of your free Google searches, and just learn as much stuff as you can, and then implement that into your hobby and make it yours.
Yeah, good.
I like that answer. Dan.
Find a mentor. Join a club, find a mentor. So, our club, we have a lot of great mentors, and Charlie and Brian have been great mentors for me. I wouldn't be as deeply involved in SOTA or portable kinds of operations had I not met them. So find a mentor. And also I agree with explore everything. Find the favorite things that you like to do and figure out how you can do those in your life. Figure out the more unusual ways that you can operate. Whether it's portable or with a home station. Just try and get out there and find a mentor. That's probably one of the most important things. It's probably one of the biggest reasons why ham radio operators don't continue in the hobby, because they don't spend enough time looking for a mentor. And you might go through one or two, find the ones that click for you, but they're definitely out there and they're willing to help.
I agree. Brian.
Yeah, so as I said, join a club, find a club, go to a bunch of clubs. You don't have to join. Just go to clubs. If you have a buddy that's already in the hobby, go to find out what clubs they go to and go with that if they're members. I'm kind of going through this right now. I have a good one of my best friends, Mike, is a relatively new ham technician, and he's been going to meetings with me. He just joined the Superstition Club, and he actually went to an event yesterday that we had. It was a picnic with antenna builds. He brought his son and his stepson with him, and all three of them built antennas at the picnic. And they're now excited, and they might actually get licensed. And he's also gone to me with another club meeting, and he's joined that club as well. So he's a member of two clubs now because he likes what both of them have to offer. One's a specialty club; it's kind of more about DXing and that sort of thing, and then general club, which would be the Superstition Club. So I would say mentor is important, and I think you can find a mentor in a club. Look for activities that maybe aren't club sponsored, but it's like a get together. We have the antennas in the park here, which is a local thing. It's actually not too far from where I live. On Thursday morning, people go down and play with all kinds of crazy antennas, whatever they can make an antenna out of, and they'll operate on it. And it's a good way to just go down there and pick people's brains. And a lot of areas have activities like that you can go find. Go to ham fests. And this is, even if I wasn't a section manager, I am 100% for the ARRL, and I think it's a very necessary tool and a necessary part of amateur radio. Become a member of the ARRL. It will do a lot for you. There's a lot of resources for people that say it's just a magazine. It's not worth $50 to me. They have no idea what the ARRL has to offer for them. Take the time to check it out. There's a lot of stuff there, and they're working to make it better. Is it perfect? No, but it does do a lot for us, and I truly believe that we would not have the freedom in the hobby that we do without the ARRL. They've been around since the beginning. So join the ARRL. I think it's an important thing to do. That would be that's my advice for everybody, is join the ARRL as well.
I agree on that one.
I just thought of another one that is a good kind of resource too. There's ham radio, but there's a lot of offshoots for ham radio. One of the ones that I found that's pretty fun is in Tempe here. We've got a group of guys that do a meet every month it's called Hardware Happy Hour. And, you meet a broad range of different people who enjoy electronics, for example, and you'd be surprised how many ham radio operators you find in that particular group. So it's kind of fun to be able to go there and, learn something new that maybe you can apply in ham radio. And also, you never know, you might get somebody excited about becoming licensed over in that kind of a group. But look for other groups that are on the peripherals of ham radio, and you can learn a lot from those groups as well.
I like it. Red.
Yeah, so a lot of good things have been mentioned so far. I would have two I would add. Let me just start with one that's kind of been we've kind of danced around a little bit. It's very relevant to find a mentor, but in my experience, in addition to the mentor, I found that it's good to go to groups, They have breakfast clubs, they have lunch clubs. They're not necessarily clubs. They're meetups. You know, there's meetups all the time and all times of the day, and it's just and they're each one of them has a different set of people that you can learn from. And the thing is that you should surround yourself with the good ones. I mean, not all meetups are going to be for you, and but there's going to be you're going to find a group of people that it just fits with you, and it's more than just one person. It's a group of people, and when you get with that group, then you're really going to be able to. I think you'll feel more comfortable than the one-on-one stuff sometimes with the mentor. I'm not saying the mentor is all is bad, but when you get in a group, it's just, there's a different dynamic, and I think learning really happens. Then the other thing I would say is maintain good life balance. And you know, when you get excited about any hobby, sometimes it can take off, and it can really maybe maybe can go too far with it. So just make sure that you good at make a good life balance, and make sure you maintain that, and so that you don't ruin relationships. So that's my 2 cents.
I agree with all those. My number one thing I tell anyone is to search your whatever city you live in an amateur radio club, and I'm almost gonna bet you dimes to dollars that there's one already. I'm gonna add to that with the whatever YouTube show you're watching, they most likely have a Discord server that they publish and want you to join. And there is a bunch of smart people you can reach out to. Don in our chat, N5SKT, knows a lot more than I do, and I reach out to him a lot. And there's we have in our Ham Radio 2.0 Discord server, which I share with Jason, a channel called Help Desk, where you just go there, and if you have a question, post it there. Sometimes it might take some time for people to read it, but you'll get an answer. And that's kind of leads into found the Elmers and everything, and just finding the group of people. I like those answers.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely found that the online ham community is really helpful, especially on the Discord servers and stuff like that. You know, depending on whatever ones you're on. Anytime I've had a question that's been answered, you know, pretty quickly and in a pleasant manner. So it's been fine.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I guess we go on to the next one, Frank.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. This time, let's go Dan, Frank, Scott, Brian, and then back to me. All right.
I'm gonna have to juggle the windows, but yes,
I'll do it. I'll keep track of it. All right, Dan, you're up first, and maybe I'll change my mind about the orders. We'll see. So what new aspect of this amateur radio hobby would you want to tackle next?
See, I bumped the windows already. Remove pin. There you go. Just talk. Don't ignore me.
Yeah,
here.
go Dan.
Yeah, so it's the same one that I've been struggling with for quite a while. So that would be CW. So I think CW is number one for me, primarily because it's going to help me out SOTA, but also it's going to enable me to use smaller radios with smaller wattages, so I can have a smaller package to take with me, especially if I'm traveling somewhere that I normally wouldn't use amateur radio. So CW, and I'd also like to explore digital modes, but so far, it's kind of difficult sometimes to find all the right auxiliary pieces you need to make that happen, and getting to fit together and work well. So those two would probably be my next biggest ones.
Okay, cool. All right, Frank.
I forgot the question.
What aspect of this hobby would you like to tackle next?
I don't want to say it because it's going to be so cool. And well, the big official one will be building my ham shack. I just ordered more equipment. The boxes are downstairs, and I can't wait to start getting that up. I'm trying to get my brother to come over. I am not a power tools type of person. Go back and watch the episodes where I build with power tools. I think most of the comments is, I can't believe he didn't cut himself or injure himself. I'm pretty bad. So I want him to come over and help me. We got to screw some things in and get the mast mounted on top of the roof and all that other fun stuff. So the big official one is building up my ham shack and getting that
great.
done.
That's a great one. Scott, what about you?
Well, I started delving into CW really hardcore about a year and a half ago, and then life got in the way, and it kept getting in the way, and it's still kind of in the way. But I think I'd
Yeah,
like to
it's a
get
good
back
one
in.
though.
Yeah, I'd like to get back into CW, get more proficient with that since I did go ahead and I became a life member of Long Island CW Club. I've got this really nice collection of
Nice.
keys all over the house. Other than that, I was delving with the idea of getting into satellite communications and doing some satellite stuff up until I realized that the radios I've got it won't really work. I need to get two other radios to work in a little bag, kind of like what I forgot the guy's name, Kutzko, Sean Kutzko, I think his name is. He does all the satellite radio stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's like an expert at it. I love the setup he's got. I just gotta go find two radios to make that all work out unless I can come up with something else.
Oh, cool. Sounds fun. See, for me, I'm going to say one I've kind of been delving into for years now and just haven't really made it happen is kit building and home brewing. It seems like it's always taken a back seat. I have tons of kits back here and some homebrew projects that I want to work on, but it just seems like YouTube-ish stuff and all this other stuff gets in the way. But that's definitely one that is at the top of my list. Right underneath that, or maybe even tied with that, would be contesting. I really don't have much experience contesting, just field day and then hanging out with Brian doing the Arizona QSO party is about all I've had. So I'd really like to get more into that as well. So Brian?
So for me, as everybody knows, or at least from this group, they know I'm pretty much become a CW nut, and that's majority of my operating is code. So speed is always on the top of the list on that, both in sending and receiving. And I tell everybody I'm still quite mediocre, but I do the best I can. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse, but kind of with anything, if you don't do it, you're not going to get better, and if you're not making mistakes, you're definitely not doing it. So that's for me. I have no shame. If I sound terrible, so what? Don't care.
Yeah.
But as Charlie was talking about, I want to do more kit building. I actually have a couple of kits that I just need to get the time together to do, and I want to do some homebrew stuff. And Dan and I had actually talked about this a while ago. Is I think one of the simplest things that you can homebrew, that you can design from cherry picking different things that are floating around on the internet. And I don't need one. I just want to build one so I can say I've built one from scratch, not from a kit, not from anything. Buying the parts is a 2-meter amplifier. A
Oh yeah,
simple
it's a good project.
5 watt to 50 watt or whatever, we can make it work, 2-meter amplifier, but not because it came from a kit, but because I went on to Mauser, picked out the parts, designed the circuit, and put the whole thing together. I want to truly home brew something, not anything that I just bought and everything came in a bag and I soldered it, paint by number. I want to do something that's not paint by number, just a blank sheet of paper and my own imagination. That's definitely a goal for me on that side. And then there's some other more technical stuff, learning how to use, like I want to and Charlie and I have a mutual friend that's good at this stuff, that's I'm learning things from, is I want to be able to tune a duplexer myself, and things like that. Learn how to use that test equipment to a level of proficiency. There's stuff that I know how to do from when I was working in the airline as mechanic, and some of the test equipment that we have from there that I'm really proficient at. But when it comes to the next level stuff, I'm not there yet, and I would like to be there because I really do enjoy the hobby. I truly like tinkering. I'm definitely an electronics nerd. I've been doing this since I got my amateur radio license in 1989 when I was a sophomore in high school, and I was in the electrical shop in a vocational school. So I've been messing with this for years. I just want to get better. So for me, it's always whatever I want to take it to the next level. I'm never really happy just staying in one place.
That's for sure.
The best thing about making your own kits up too is, after you make charcoal on your test bench, that is useful, so you can barbecue afterwards with it. So
Yep.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'll hold it up later, but I've got to redesign my my 160 meter, 80 meter matching network for my vertical, because I had a pretty bad arc during one of the contests when I was operating on 80 meters, and it pretty much it smoked the relay and a few other things. I'll hold that up in a little bit. So I have new relays and new bases, and I'm going to try and do a little bit better isolation. But when you got a lot of loading on a short vertical, there is an awful lot of RF voltage in that box, and man, when it goes, it goes. Like we're talking like 4,000 or 5,000 volts of energy inside of that thing. So I'll hold that up in a little bit so everybody can see the smoke damage.
Best way to show the love of the hobby is to let some smoke out, right?
Yes.
that's it. Don't be afraid.
The next question here, I'm just going to open up. We got 8 minutes to the top of the hour here. Oh, let me pin you. Let's look at that. What?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So that's
Toaster.
that's some arcing on 160 meters.
Jeez. Um, uh, let's just kind of have a big open discussion here, or just throw out your answers. When operating, what are your biggest pet peeves?
Oh,
I'll just tell you right now, QRP is really hard, and it's a pet peeve. I know it's sometimes
Really?
not their fault, but when somebody takes over a frequency you're operating on, I mean, it happens like about 50% of the time when I'm on a summit, I'm calling CQ, somebody just takes over my frequency, and I think it's probably they don't hear me because I'm QRP, but sometimes I wonder.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my biggest one.
I can understand that. Anyone else?
Yeah, same kind of thing. People that don't check the frequency, if it's in use, and or just tune up over you,
See,
drives me absolutely nuts.
the last time someone did that, it happened to me Sunday. He started calling CQ, and I was already working there. I had a pile up. I was going for 2 hours, and he called CQ, and I called him back like a normal contact. I was like, "Yeah, man, 7-3. I've been here for the last 2 hours. It's been amazing. Thanks for the contact. QRZ any station anywhere."
That's a good way to
funny.
do it.
And I guess he got the message and he went away. Yeah, the tuning up is annoying. And then you get a couple of guys they got a key out there and they're just hitting the key paddle to annoy you. I just tune all that out. They do it for a minute or two. If you don't say QRM, then they're like, oh, I guess he doesn't hear me, and they go away. So. I had another good one when I wrote the question. I can't think of what it is though. Um, anyone else? Anyone else? This is supposed to be a fun one. Yes, Brian.
I was going to say, so I used to be a net control for the Ole Miss nets on 40 meters at night, and we would get the inevitable tune-up or jerk, sometimes intentional, sometimes just somebody with no clue that the frequency's busy and they're tuning up on it. And at first I wouldn't say anything. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to entertain myself and I'm going to get some laughs out of everybody in the chat that's going on at the same time. Because if you've been on an Ole Miss net, there's NetLogger and there's a chat thing, much like what we have right now with what's going on in the background on YouTube here.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
I would come on and say, yeah, the person, I already stand by. Somebody needs to get their radio tuned up here. We clear the frequency for a second. All right, no, hold on. I think you need one more time. You're about 25 watts shy of full power. Key down again. And then I hear it again. All right, nope. I could see it. That was good, but I think you can get 5 more watts out of it. Try one more time. And I would do it just every time they unkeyed. That's what I would do. And I would, identify and do everything like I'm supposed to do. But I would do that. And most of the time it would just stop because I was, I essentially making fun of them the whole time. And it made me laugh. I enjoyed it. It's kind of like, when somebody cuts you off on the freeway and we all want to just like, right. You want to just, it's like counting 10 and just going, nope, everything is fine. Or, I will say a Hail Mary or something along those lines just to chill myself out. So I don't want to go straight. I'm too close for missiles. I want to go right to guns. It's,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I've just adopted that same method and it actually works fairly well. And I will say mainly because QRP low power, I don't get QRM to that much doing SOTA, but I know for the POTA guys, because you guys are running a lot more power, so you're an easier target to find.
Mm-hmm.
You guys get QRM'd a lot more, I think, than us on the SOTA summits do.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you guys are easier to find, you're a bigger signal, and you're up in the phone portion, and there's a lot more people up there that can
You're right,
do that
Brian.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
QRM, and when you get QRM, that's also really annoying. It doesn't happen as often, but I hate it.
Yes. I mean, every now and then it happens to me. And usually when it happens, I either just switch frequencies or I'll just keep sending. I just ignore them. I pretend they're not there.
I just ignore them. Work through them. They're going to be there for 2-3 minutes. Then they'll be like, oh, I guess I can't hear me. And then they'll go away. Let's go ahead and go around the room here real fast and give shout outs to your channel or anything your projects you're working on, anything you want to give attention to. Scott, my man, you're first.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got a couple of new videos coming out in the next couple of weeks. One's going to be a review on a new antenna that I found that I think is really kind of killer of a design. And the other one is going to be an antenna build video. So be watching for those. That's on Ham Radio for Non-Techies, or you can type in HR4NT anywhere on Google, and I come up on the entire front 2-3 pages.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Dan.
Well, YouTube channel, but it doesn't really have anything on it yet. I finally replaced my video camera for taking on hikes. So next Saturday is first maiden voyage. So we'll see if we come up with any good video material to actually put on the YouTube channel. So if you keep an eye out for that, and also since I'll be on the air, look for me on SOTA Summit next weekend.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining. I appreciate it. Brian, what's going on over in your world?
So let's see. Probably some SOTA activations this week. I'll be in Prescott and Sholo, so look for me on the air in those places. Coming up is the Dayton Hamvention, and myself, Charlie, and Keith KR7RK are going to be presenting at Dayton Hamvention on SOTA. We'll each be doing flapping our gums for about 15 minutes apiece, covering different subjects that are near and dear to us. Those that know me probably know what I'll be talking about, and those that know Charlie probably same thing. So that's probably what's coming up next. My wife will actually be joining me for her first Hamvention. She is a ham. This is her new QSL card that she just designed herself. So that's hers.
Let me put you back up on there.
So that's her card. She just designed that.
Awesome.
So she's a Jeep
That is
girl.
good.
And she'll be there as well. So I'm excited about going to Hamvention this year. So that's what's coming up in the next few weeks.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Red, my man, my co-host, my every other day parent or every other week parent, man. What's going on over on your channel?
Yeah, I'll just make it real quick. So if one thing is we have a Discord channel up now, so go ahead and check that out. If you need a invite, I think there's plenty of people that have already gotten in there. So, but Discord, I post a lot of stuff in there. That's one thing. The other thing, everything's kind of the same in my channel, except for one thing we're thinking about changing, and Dan's going to be the one that's the most surprised in this. We're going to go, we usually do first and third interviews on the first and third. We're thinking about transitioning to doing a interview once a month on the first, and then the third Sunday doing just kind of a roundtable with me, Dan, and Brian, and just doing like this, basically like what we just did today, just talking about different topics. And so we might be transitioning to something more like that instead of interviews every other week.
I like the idea. I'll be in your chat. And me, of course, you found me, Tank Radio. I didn't have my transition ready. I had all y'all's transitions ready. There it is. I'm Tank Radio. Thank you for supporting me, to all my Patreons. Thank you, all the YouTube members out there. Jason's stream's coming up next. The stream is set up to roll over to him. Unfortunately, yeah. Y'all go watch his stream too. All the questions will be in the chat if you wanted to know what, or the description. And just gonna throw it out there again. My announcement is Take Radio tumblers. Woo! Are up. Oh, I didn't turn it down for that. I'm sorry. Pre-sales is going on. They'll be up for only a month. So if you want a tumbler, go ahead and pre-order it once they're taken down and we turn it off. I don't think I'll do it again for some time. I'm gonna put it in the vault. Well, I just don't want to have merchandise around. So, and I want to switch out and do some new things. So, the pre-orders are up. Go ahead and join Red's Discord server, and I think that's pretty much everything I could think of. So let's go ahead and just wrap it up. To everyone out there watching on the audio podcast, YouTube land, or anywhere else you watch me, go forth and conquer. Bye.
73.
And on to Tank Radio.